Robin Skane.
I'm Kyle Schlegel.
Liam Friel.
Hi, my name is Sarah.
I am Constance. Pleased to meet you.
My name is Danny. I'm in 12th grade.
Usually in the mornings, you come in, you take your shoes off, you're being mindful.
Somebody rings the bell.
We ring a bell. It's like the equivalent of like that artificial boop sound that you get in public school. Instead, we have a bell. And then go in the dojo.
Everyone walks towards the dojo.
You get in the dojo, you bow, and you're not allowed to talk in the dojo. So it's pretty relaxing, I think. Sometimes the walk into there is more relaxing than being in there for me.
We all bow when we enter, out of respect.
You pick the cushion that you would like to go to and you bow down to it.
We sit down in a cross-legged position and we put our hands in mudra.
You sit in half lotus, which is your dominant leg underneath, and then you put your hands in a mudra, which is just your dominant hand underneath, and your two thumbs lightly pressed together.
We're supposed to hold our hands in a mudra, which is some pretty crazy spiritual magic mumbo jumbo. So it's pretty cool.
Just concentrating on our breathing.
Count our breath, just focus on that. Don't really try and have too many thoughts going in and out of our minds.
We try not to think about anything else.
Kind of pick out the little things and notice ourselves.
Goes about 15 minutes, I guess.
Process of meditating. Tricky, but extremely simple. In meditation, you want to sit in silence and try to create stillness in your mind and focus on just breathing. I mean, it sounds, much easier said than done, but when you sit down and actually try to, create some silence in your mind, you notice all these thoughts that start arising. And yeah, I mean, you get better at it eventually, You start to learn how to slow your mind down more and more.
I kind of just think about everything that is going wrong in my life, and I picture a stream, and I throw in a log, and it has my problem written on it, and I throw it in the ocean, in the stream, and then it floats away. That's what I do when I meditate.
It's mind training, essentially. For somebody who is very scattered and disorganized, it really does work wonders. Because, what you do is you learn how to focus and center yourself. And the more you develop that in meditation, the more you will find that you are capable of doing that and coming to consciousness and realizing the situation and becoming aware in situations where it's not, a controlled environment.
It's a nice way to start the day and end the day, and also when I get all this energy from lunch and I'm all hyped up, it's really nice to just relax. And it's definitely hard sometimes because if I get really antsy and then I think, oh, I have an itch on my leg and then I have an itch on my head, it's you just have to kind of keep still. So it can be difficult in that manner, but otherwise it's really nice.
Most of the students, I think, get into the meditation aspect of things. Some don't. It's not for everyone, but it's definitely a very unique and interesting part of the day.
You hear that one noise that just kind of pierces through the silence, especially somebody's stomach when they're hungry in the morning. It just kind of you hear it, it's the loudest thing, and everyone doesn't want to smile, but you hear that one little grunt, and it's just, I lose it.
And the clock, oh my god, the clock. Oh my god, that ticking. This little tick, tock, that just happens when you're trying to sit there peacefully, quiet, and all this, and I can't do it. Like, whenever that clock is in that dojo, I can't focus at all. Like, I can't even think when it's happening. All I can think of is that clock. Like, I can hear it now over there. Like, it's bothering me a little bit.
Well, definitely, when people crack their knuckles, that is quite annoying in meditation sometimes.
It really bothers me when people crack their knuckles.
If people are cracking their fingers.
I guess when people are just next to me and moving a lot or breathing heavily.
Shifting around.
When people crack their knuckles.
When people crack their knuckles.
If they scratch their head, I hate the noise of someone scratching their head because it sounds like a fly or something, and it bugs me.
When people crack their knuckles.
Pretty okay with like the knuckle cracking that everybody else seems to hate.
Other people are moving around me.
And fidgeting.
Cracking knuckles.
I know Pete's trying to help us when he tells us to not move around, but if I'm not thinking about moving around, then he's like, don't move around, and I'm like, I can't move. So then it's kind of like bothers me, and then it's all I can think about is just not being able to move, and just that restriction is like, okay, I have to focus and not move, but then it's like I notice an itch, or I need to just move my arm for whatever reason.
When they move around a lot, like if they're sitting, especially if they're sitting right next to me and they're moving a lot, I don't like that.
Just being loud. Like, not loud in the typical sense of like screaming and yelling, but just like you can clearly tell that there's a whole lot of loud noises going on in their head, and they sort of personify it by being fidgety and anxious and just not keeping still.
Listening to Pete ramble on about something that probably makes sense in some weird, twisty way.
And the image is of a spring bubbling up at the foot of the mountain. The kind of impertinence and changeability of the fountain and this big, stable rock against it. And the relationship between the two. And this image is interesting as it points to a relationship between a student and a teacher, between a person and a situation that seems too gigantic to overcome. It invites this sense of one's own spirit and inner life as being a bubbling fountain, and of one's commitments.
And then we have a short break, and then we start our first period class.
I make breakfast with Danny sometimes. We'll make eggs, and I'll make toast. And he taught me how to make toast on a pan, and it's just like, oh man, it's so much better than toast in a toaster. So much.
Wait, you know, the thing is like, I'm a banana! Oh, you mean
We also do Shimgum-do here, which is a sword martial art form, which also helps with, you know, training your mind to be focused and, you know, help create stillness in your mind so you can go about things in a mindful way.
It's a really nice way to start the day. If I'm really tired, which I usually am, it's really nice to get my body going and stretch and things.
You know, we learn a set of, you know, moves, neck attacks, inside defense, thrusting, all these type of things in a sequence, and we have to remember them as one unit, one form, so that we can focus on that one point, like one form at a time, and then, you know, you do your other forms and whatnot. And like I said, it's very good for training your mind and, you know, manifesting much focusing power.
It really does teach you how to focus on one thing. Like, you can't think about other things when you do Shimgum-do. You have to focus on that one thing, like on that one, what is it called again? Form. On that one form that you do, you have to really just put your mind on that and nothing else. And that's really hard for me to do because I always think about it. There's always a billion thoughts in my mind, so.
I generally like the class. Like, I was definitely resistant towards it because I was kind of forced into doing it because they're like, it's on your schedule, you're doing it now. And I was like, I'm not so big on it, but I'm almost kind of glad that like Pete put that in my schedule because, I mean, it's good because the school is like founded on the martial art, and it's generally enjoyable.
It's really good strengthening of like the kind of practice that we have here because it really combines all sorts of different things that we do. Like we've been combining koan practice with it, keeping certain ideas in our head as we do our forms. It's a breathing exercise. It's a sort of physical manifestation of the kind of mindfulness that we are trying to, culminate in people. It's really, I don't know, it's a good workout. It's fun. It's really sort of like objective based, which I like. You have like different ranks and you can move up in them. And it's just a good physical way to spend the day. Like it really works out your body and your mind and just everything. And it's a really, really good, just a good thing. Like as an addition to practice, it's just like a physical thing in general. And it's just a way to spend the day. It's really good. It makes public school gym class look miserable.
I like stretching because that's really nice, and if we get to do yoga sometimes, and I like fighting forms too, although I'm like very scared and I always like flinch when people come around with the sword, but yeah, fighting forms are fun.
My mind just totally changes after I step into the door and I'm all dressed up and have my red belt, and I feel like I'm just kind of almost like a soldier.
Yeah, usually there's a lot of funny moments when Justice drops his sword. Thank God we aren't using actual swords because he drops his sword a lot and it's kind of comical sometimes. He does it a little bit too much.
There's a lot of funny moments.
Evelyn getting a concussion.
I got concussed. That's funny. That happened in Shimgum-do.
People dropping their swords and everyone freaking out at them.
Spanish class. Well, Spanish class was quite fun when I had it. Our Spanish class was only 4 students, 4 of which students I really enjoy here at this school. And our Spanish teacher, she's new this year, but she fits in like the missing piece of the puzzle at this school. And she's really fabulous. She's one of the nicest teachers I've ever met.
Hola, yo soy Steffi y soy la profesora de español aquí en Seneca Martin Science. Aquí tenemos clases de español con nivel 1 y 2.
Spanish is super cool because I've only had 1 year of Spanish, and that was in public school, so it was not fun. And it was actually alright. I don't want to trash it. But, and then I jumped into Spanish 3 without having to do Spanish 2 because it was the happy medium for everyone in the class. And I've learned a lot. It's been really hard for me though because I'm always like, ¿qué? Because I never know what she's saying. And I've definitely learned a lot from it though, because just spending the whole class talking about it is really helpful, because just getting my ears like used to the sound of Spanish and trying to change my brain from English to Spanish is like, and like even sometimes I'll like be thinking and then it'll just like turn into Spanish because my mind is like Spanish and I'm like, no, English.
Yeah, I don't know, I just took French for a lot longer than I did Spanish, and it just feels normal for me to go back to it. I feel like in general it's a more pretty language.
Oh, no, you know, when Steffi was teaching us tango, I think it was a tango, Devin and Danny danced together, and it was ridiculous. They did it like 20 times, and they just danced around the table, and I just couldn't stop laughing.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Muy bien, gracias.